Hi everyone.
Hi.
Oh my God, we can do this. Okay,
I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's completely fine.
I'm okay, thank you. I'm so sorry about this. This usually never happens.
This is
There must
okay.
be something wrong with my Instagram or something. I
It's
don't
okay. This is okay.
know. How are you?
I'll ask you any questions that you have, and I'll be really happy to answer you about tech, about women in STEM, about how we met as well. We met in a
I
really
guess.
cool place, a really cool
Yes, we
event. So it's
did.
quite nice.
We did. Yeah, so I know I'm supposed to be interviewing you, but like it's flipped, even though it's not supposed to be like that. But yeah, I'll quickly just introduce it. So I'm interviewing you today because I'd love you to be a part of this project I've been working on all year called Inspiring Figures, where I interview one really inspiring figure every single month to just understand like their story and how they like built themselves up, because everyone I've spoken to so
Yeah.
far has done something like that,
And
and
everyone has
it's really
different
incredible.
paths. So it's really interesting to see how, because sometimes myself, I'm looking at other people and I'm like, wow, they've done some crazy things, and then I try to look at their lives, and there's no one way to do things. It's just
Yes,
very
definitely.
you're like,
Yeah,
okay, like I can do things my own way because everyone has had their own very special way of doing things, so I can just trust my own
agreed.
instinct for it, you know?
Exactly, definitely. This is exactly why I got you on here. So, today, this is actually my last one for 2018, and I wanted to end it with a woman in tech because that's my whole thing, so, and that's my whole
You are
like.
one as well. So,
Exactly. So I really wanted to get you involved here. So, for those who might not know who you are, do you want to quickly introduce yourself?
sure. So I'm Nathalia Rus. I am. How did you find myself? It's like I've had some different lives. So I've studied, first literature, philosophy. I was really into art, still am. Then I wanted to have a political career, so I studied politics, and then I realized that I was actually more into something that had a more direct impact that I could see, and I thought that it was a great idea to actually build something to the ground, like social enterprise, etc. And in order to do anything, you needed to have some basic knowledge of coding. If you wanted to have your website, if you wanted to understand how tech works in general, to have the idea of actually what do you want to build, and as well how do you want to make it happen. And without any knowledge of coding and any knowledge of tech, it was something that was just not possible to do, or you would just be a business developer, but that's more something that happens when you join a movement, right? That you can't really install everything. So I started to code at first with that in mind, and I learned to code on my own, in parallel to university life, to associations, to societies, and everything. So it was really, really very complicated years. It was really busy, but I really loved it. It was a good kind of busy, because you believe in
Yeah,
something, and you have goals and aim. It's the best ways to wake up in the morning.
definitely.
And yeah, and then I really actually loved coding in itself. More than just because it was needed for projects. I really loved coding on itself. I thought it was very so interesting for your own, spirit. It was just very logical, and being from a more literary background, it was really nice to have some kind of other ways to think. And I really loved it. It gave you a lot of powers, to be able to build anything that you have in mind. It was really empowering. And then now actually, so I've worked a bit in front end, full stack dev, and then I realized that I needed something that was more unique to me. And so to kind of join arts and tech together. And actually, there are a lot of ways coding and arts are just amazing for each other. Just if you look at Unity and video games, like you need artists to make video games. Like it's a whole universe.
Yeah,
Uh, in VR, there are just amazing ways to, there's coding and then you have the content, in what worlds you want the people to walk, in what you want them to see. And all of this is very visual. And artists alone cannot translate what they have in their visions to a screen. You need tech to translate that into a screen.
yeah,
So right now I'm working on this, and there are a lot of ways that artists and people in tech need to not just interact, but you have both skills. So it's really fascinating right now. Yes, yeah, it's really
It's
fascinating time.
fantastic. It's great because I actually interviewed another person, David.
Mhm.
He also does stuff with art and code, and I never thought
Mhm.
that you could bring those two worlds together,
Yeah,
but it really
it's
is
very new.
powerful.
It's so
Yeah.
new. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. It's fantastic. So, yeah, I want to quickly say that I want to quickly like give background to anyone who is watching. We actually met this year, in April, May. So me and you, have been, so we were both listed
Yeah.
on this, most influential female students across the UK. There's a list at the tab, and JP Morgan created, and then they asked different universities to talk to like nominate certain students, and and then we ended up on the list. We both did, and then it
Yeah,
was
I don't know how
amazing.
it happened. It just happened, and then we met.
Yeah,
It was a really cool way to
yeah,
meet because the
yeah,
person asked, they were like, "Which field are you in?" And I said tech, and she said tech, and we looked at each other across the room, and
yeah.
that's the friendship that started. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
it's incredible, and that whole event anyway is full of like incredible women. And you, if you want to look at the list, it is on the tab.
I was honestly so
Yeah,
inspired. Like it was one of the
yeah,
best ever.
it was incredible. It was amazing. So yeah, that's how we met, and that was incredible. I'm so glad that we like crossed paths because since then I've been following you and loving everything that you
Same, same,
do.
same.
Your
We've been
work in
fangirling
and your
on each other.
project.
It's
It's a
very nice.
cycle of love.
Yes.
Exactly. So, you mentioned like sort of your journey into tech really briefly. Could you go like deeper into that? So, where did you exactly start, and where did you think like actually coding is what I need to do now, and then what do you do from there?
Yeah. So it started very because I was so scared of coding at first and everything that I kind of knew from reading online articles about entrepreneurs and about like all of those people who said you need coding, but that sounded very abstract. And how do you move on from there? And then because it's something so intimidating, it's not just
Hmm.
because you take 2 or 3 lessons on Code Academy and then you're a coder. Then at
Yeah.
first when you start those lessons, you're like, wow, I'm a coder, and then you're like, wait, I can't actually build anything. I've done 2 lessons on Code Academy, and what did it give me? Like not like like not
Yeah, I
nothing.
know what you mean. Yeah.
This difference between learning to code to be online and then being able to be a software engineer or being able to build a product or to do legacy code or to refactor everything, and you don't even know what is those things that I'm talking about. You don't know what refactoring is. You don't know
Yeah.
what actually being a software engineer. Like all the algorithm, data structures, and everything. It's non-existent. And so you start to code on Code Academy, on Udemy. I started to code with Swift. I had no idea what was the difference at the time between Swift and JavaScript and Java and everything. I just looked at whatever people were building, like clones on Tinder, clones of Instagram, and went for it. But actually, it was when you do a lot and you do by learning. You learn things by doing, and then when you look at things and you're like, okay, I could do a very simple website. How do I move on from there? And then you see the next step, because then you look at other articles. How do I add this functionality? And then you're like, oh, jQuery and JavaScript is not enough anymore. In order to do that, I
Hmm.
need to do framework. What are those frameworks? And then when you are in those frameworks, they're like, okay, how do I do this kind of algorithm so people have their preferences? And then you're like, oh, it's not a question of framework anymore. It's a question of algorithm, and it's a question of data structure, so it goes faster. So then you move on into a whole other different dimension.
Yeah.
Like, oh, there were all those things, algorithms, data structures that I didn't see on Code Academy, and those are so crucial to be a software engineer. So then I was like, okay, I need some more like structure. So I had applied for a scholarship with Google, and that was my first ever content where I could see something that was kind of professional looking.
Yeah.
The Google scholarship is excellent for that. It's not just Code Academy like coding exercise. They teach you things in terms of memory space, in terms of efficiency, in terms of algorithms, in terms of data structures and everything, so you can understand what is good coding, what is bad coding. And that was really something that opened my eyes, and I said, "Whoa, there's so much more to this." And so I decided to do a boot camp afterwards, because I realized I needed some kind of physical presence of a coder,
Yeah.
not to stay blocked on my own in my room for
Yeah.
8 hours because I'm stuck on an algorithm thing. If you have some kind of help behind, you can go like 10 times faster.
Yes,
So I
yeah.
wanted also to join a bootcamp where I did not start from zero. So I started a bootcamp where you actually had, which is called CodeWorks. I've spoken about it in my other posts, and it's really nice because you have a kind of exam entrance. So they select people who have at least an idea of what coding is. So you start by the hard stuff, and then you go deeper into it rather than start from zero. And that was truly helpful because then I could, out of the bootcamp, I had like a professional level, not an amateur level. And I, as I said, knew the difference between good code and bad code, which is really hard to learn on your own. You can learn,
Yeah.
structure, and then how are you actually a good coder? This is hard to learn on your own because you don't know the good practices and you don't have all of the peer advice of reviewing your code. So I would advise anyone to start coding on their own. This is perfectly fine. Then in order to reach a kind of professional level, get help and get a network. You don't need to, if you don't have the money or anything, that's completely fine. You don't need to go to university. You don't need to go to a boot camp. But at least try to meet other people and share your code, because sometimes, even if it's not professional, you will do things a different way that the other person is doing, and you will see their code and you will like, is mine as unreadable as his code is?
Yeah.
Okay, so try to have a network of friends who are coding and exchange your code, read the code of others. If you can't go to a bootcamp or anything, find a community online through GitHub, look at the code of other people, see how the people went to this solution, and then you will see that there are many solutions and some are better than others. This is how you get a better software engineer instead of just coding internet websites. Just
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I think like people who start learning to code, they immediately jump to like Code Academy, and then you learn blocks of code, but then bringing them all together to build something useful is really difficult.
Yeah,
You need to
yeah.
have that background knowledge of everything just fitting in together.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely.
And even then, there's like a whole other word that I'm seeing now, and I'm like, wow, there's too much to know, and you can't know everything, and it's hard to know what you want to specialize, right? Because even if I wanted to launch, even as a full stack dev, if I wanted tomorrow to launch my application, there's so much things in DevOps that I don't know. I don't know how to deploy something, right? And this is like information system. This is like Amazon, the Amazon Web Service,
Yes.
like. And I'm like, how does this thing work? It's so broad, and at some point you do need to sort of specialize at some point, but also to specialize you need to know everything a bit, so you know where you're going and why you're choosing this. So I would say it's a really good adventure to learn how to code for all those reasons, because it's a never ending adventure, so you will always be busy with new things, new goals, and new visions, and it's really, really, really great.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. So what is something in the tech space right now that's exciting you? Like, are you working on anything right now?
Well, right now I'm working with bridging the gap between tech and arts through motion design and everything. I believe that new contemporary art could really be in this. The only problem I think in the industry, but I don't think it's a problem at all, it was just the new economic model, is that before you kind of needed just the physical painting to sell, right? And now that anyone can, but with motion design, to me, motion design is like a new way of, installation. It's a new way of art. It's a new way of creating. You can create new forms, kind of travel through the universe with like very unique graphics. And you need to code for this if you want it to be immersive, like with Unity, everything. This is C++. So I think, art now is getting more and more technical, and in order to do very incredible things, you need tech, I think. And even people who are tech, like physical tech, like who are doing live paintings in museums, I've seen in Palais de Tokyo in Paris, they have used like antennas to communicate with like stars. And so you would do with algorithms live paintings. This is not, there's programming involved, but in the end, it's a physical product, and the painting is made thanks to programming. And I think this is really interesting. But also, you have a lot of other like so interesting things happening, like med tech in technology, and like in medicine, how we help people live longer, and this is just amazing. Like how,
incredible.
like this is the power of data, and you're basically, before you needed like a kind of Nobel Prize to be able to engage in those kind of life-saving activities. And now with artificial intelligence and like neural networks and everything, and the how you treat data, you can be part of this adventure, which is incredible. And then you have like the space exploration. I think if I were like into physics and everything, I wish I was. I love to read about physics, but I'm shit at physics. I wish I was. But if I was good in physics, then you basically help humanity explore the universe, which is something like Christopher Columbus, explored what is now the United States of America, which was like something historic and really exciting. And now it's a whole other level. It's like exploring the universe. I think it can't get cooler than that. I think that you have a lot of ideas of different jobs and what people do in their jobs. And I think between, Excel sheets somewhere and helping out people exploring the universe, yeah, I think working with tech is quite exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, when they think about tech, they think about just being a software engineer or just coding like behind the screen. But there is so much more that you can do. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Like I'm trying to be an artist who is in tech. Yes. Like art and tech before was not a thing, and now it's something that is absolutely fascinating, and you have so many crazy things to do.
Yeah, definitely. Amazing. Well, I need to link you up with David. He also does lots of stuff in the art and
this coding. Is amazing.
Yeah, I need to link you two up because you'd have an amazing conversation. Okay, so I've seen in your previous posts that you've talked about how important it is to like recharge away from the programming, because I know that a lot of programmers think that if they code constantly for 24 hours, like all day, every day, they're gonna build something. It's gonna be amazing, and it's gonna take off really well. But it is really important to of course take care of ourselves. So have you got any like main tips for anyone who does go all hardcore?
I'm struggling myself with that. Like and I think sometimes when I write those tips, I'm like, who am I to write those tips? I don't do this. Like I do it, but I have to force myself to do it. It's not like if I was like the person to look at and say, oh my God. Yeah, I'm struggling with it. Even now, like the thing is, when you're so passionate about something, it's great, but at the same time, it can be self-destructive as well in a way.
Yeah.
It can be quite unhealthy to just work too much. And to us, it's not work, right? You have work and work, but to us, it's not work. It's like a passion and that we're obsessed with. It's like, I'm talking about obsession.
Yes.
It's a healthy obsession, because some people have obsession with like bad things like drugs and everything, which is a whole. So we need to put things into perspective, of course. But it is still unhealthy when it comes to the point where you are constantly burning out. And it's not just one burnout that you have, but because you have not successfully disconnected from your last burnout, you still carry the burnout that you've had 2 weeks ago, and then you have another burnout and you don't take the time to actually deal with it, and then you take like a 5-minute break, and it's just something that you carry on and on. And to be fair, I still don't have an answer to that. I don't know if it's therapy. I don't know if it's. But sure, you do have some things that help. I'm not saying that it deals with the problem. What helps for sure is to do sports, running and everything. This is a way to really keep sane and healthy. Your body needs it. To eat healthy. And like everything that you consume being healthy. So it's more lifestyle than quick fixes, It's really a healthy lifestyle. And I think, like in hackathon, I've been always surprised, but then I don't want to criticize because I know that it's hard to get fans. But in hackathons, I've been really surprised that they serve pizza and Coca-Cola and
the same. Yes, I know.
I think it really gives a bad idea of what working hard should be looking, like, I think it's unhealthy. If they were, like, in hackathons, I think you kind of teach a vision of the programmer who needs to be with his energy kind of there and, like, and work all night long. And I'm all for working long because it's a short format, so that's fine. But at least giving some kind of workshops of mindfulness, maybe that would be great during the hackathon. Giving some very healthy foods, giving some kind of things that you can work hard and be healthy at the same time. You don't have to forget your body, be so into your work that you don't care about what you eat, you don't care about whether you sleep, you just do what's done. I think it would be great if we had in hackathons those kind of workshop and good food in terms of healthy food, and even advice and flyers for people to be able to understand that it's not a model for everyday life, and
Yes,
talk to
definitely.
programmers about this in hackathons as well, instead of fueling this kind of lifestyle.
Yeah, I can't agree more. I actually went to a hackathon. The best hackathons I've been to are the ones where they've had like a little session, like a
Mm.
breakout session where they've done yoga or they've done like a mindfulness meditation practice. Because then you go back and you feel so much refreshed. You feel like, actually, that made me feel good, so I'm going to continue and be more productive. And it's just, like you said, it's so important for people to
Yeah,
understand that the hackathons isn't a model for everyday life.
this is it. Yeah, yeah, because like this is also, it kind of normalizes the thing. You're like, oh, I can continue being in this bad lifestyle. This is what all genius hackers do. And then you're like, no, there is another way we can, genius hackers can also be healthy hackers. It's not
Yeah.
something you can use. And it's, it's completely like, it's something that is as important, I think, as women in tech. I think that a lot of people regards tech as something that is really harsh in general to join,
Mhm.
whether it's for gender issues, whether it's for the healthy lifestyle. And if we can show that you can be a complete
It's
healthy
possible.
person and everything in
Yeah.
code, this is great. And even better, because I don't think you can code very well if you're always on Coca-Cola and
Yeah, yeah, and monster
yeah,
drinks. Yeah,
yeah, it's not
exactly.
on the long
Amazing.
term. Yeah, no.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's great. Thank you so much for all of that. So my next question is: you have like a huge Instagram following, and it's so inspiring to see you grow like constantly. So I've been following you since May. And I've just been
Yeah,
seeing you grow again and again and again, and it's just so nice because you've provided this platform for other girls. It's I'm coming from a very women in tech perspective, but for other girls who look at your page and they're like, actually, she can do it. She can like code. She can do this. She can like mix art and code together, and that's incredible. She's innovating, and it's honestly great that you're growing a platform and you have a platform where you can share your interests and your message across, and it's really cool. It's really inspiring.
thank
So like my main question is, how did you build like such a strong community and network, and where did it sort of stem from? Have you always saw yourself like making a huge Instagram account to
you.
like then pass on to anyone else?
No,
Yeah.
it's funny how it all started. It all started by me being in my room and looking at all the things I need to know to be able to code. As I just said, like all of the things that you're on Code Academy, you're like, okay, I'm a coder, and then you're like, oh my god, there's this thing to know, and then oh my god, there's this thing, and I was really lost, and I needed some clarity, and I needed to look at myself from an external point of view. And I kind of kept a diary, but you know how diaries sometimes, because it's so like under your bed, you write once and then you forget, and then you're like, why am I even writing? And
Yeah.
it wasn't like a personal diary. It was really like like not professional because I was not working at the time, but it was like work diary.
Mhm.
And so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna to force myself to keep track of myself. How do I look like from an external point of view to myself? So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do an Instagram account and like post my work diary there. And so I'm like, okay, if I have to speak to girls in order to inspire them to code, which is why I called it Jager's Code, I was like, how would I look like? Would I look like someone who is actually, who has learned enough so I can give an advice? Or am I just someone who is just doing nothing? And in order to motivate girls to code, in order to find girls who are coding, not to waste their time, like the girl always asking questions, not helping them or anything, I wanted to be an equal with people who code already. So I could, kind of engage in debates about frameworks and everything, so have done my homework and know what actually it is. Or I could also be there like, okay, I haven't learned anything this week because I haven't worked it enough, so I have nothing to talk about. Shit, I have a problem there. So it's kind of to give me the pressure to be like, okay, if you want to be part of the developers community, you need to know enough so you can actually engage in conversations about whatever is going on in tech and in software engineering. And at the same time, if you want to help girls, then you need to be able to help them. That means that you need to be able to give advice. That means you need to be able to work first and then being in a position to have experience and so to give advice. So this is how it started. And to me, I would have been very happy if I had like 50 girls and we're together. We kind of, like I said, reading the code of others and everything. And then I think that because it was kind of authentic and because, I did not give any fucks of what other people were thinking of me. Like I posted the videos that, like the photos that I wanted with like pinky background. I must have appeared all over the place. I didn't care. Like, I have ADHD. I can be very impulsive and everything. Like I didn't control myself in any ways. I just wanted me to be able to focus on my thing, and share it with whomever wanted to see it. And I think that because it was not censored, and because I kind of appeared all over the place, because I am all over the place, it was something that must have been quite like entertaining, or I don't know, or maybe because they're like, okay, she's doing, she's doing this, and then it's just a question of growing from theirs, like little by little.
Yeah.
But for anyone who wants to have like an Instagram account, grows, I'd say patience is first, because it does grow over time. And it's not something that you can have in 2 months. And a lot of people start very well, but after 3 months, they start seeing no results yet, and like getting bored and stopping posting content. But I think if you do that for years, at some point, and at some point also, why do you want to do it? If you do it for the followers, I think that, there are other ways to be successful on Instagram, and you should focus your efforts somewhere else if you want to do anything to be famous. Just, go to Hollywood, try to be an actor, have more success than if you have just a lot of followers on Instagram. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that was fantastic. Yeah, I think the more you continue to build up your platform, the more you can reach more girls, especially. And it really is inspiring. And I just want to continue being in this journey with you.
Yeah, I think Instagram is a great platform because, Instagram is known from the general public, especially in France. It has kind of a bad reputation of like girls trying to look hot, trying to look in bikini. And I'm like, okay, then Instagram is seen as a place where, people who you would not think would be into technology are. So I think it's actually the platform where you can play on that, where you can be that, like, people who normally wouldn't read physics or normally would be into coding and more into like travels and like, I don't know what, discover something that they haven't seen before.
Yeah, that's exactly why I love yours.
And yeah, we do need to adapt. And sorry, you can see my window.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh, okay. Well, how do I put it back on my face?
There's a little button on the right right-hand screen.
Oh, okay,
got it.
Because, yeah, I got it.
Awesome.
So I think Instagram is great for this reason, and we need to adapt to the platform, like to use the filters and good images. But whether it's Instagram or not, I like to have nice images. That's normal. I won't put just because it's Instagram. Like, stop it. And I've Instagram is where you can have rich people who would not have discovered about tech otherwise. And I receive a lot of messages about girls who are like, oh, I didn't know that tech was so cool. And a lot of people say outside of Instagram, it's not cool, like stop showing it like this. I think it is a way to show it like this. I'm sorry, if in our popular culture tech was cooler than Kim Kardashian, maybe we wouldn't be there, So try to reach the masses. Yes, of course. Of course, tech is cool, and like it can be cool under any angle. Any angle is fine,
Yeah, amazing. Yeah.
Like this, I think a lot of things that you see on Instagram popular in the actual real world, like in terms of statistics, in terms of number. So if you can bring tech there, then it's out in the masses. So of course,
That's why you have to continue what you're doing, because it honestly is incredible.
I hope that in France, like Instagram would be seen like this as well and everything, because it's more an American thing, and it's more like something like in Australia, in England, but in France it's very seen as this kind of land where only like superficial people go. But I hope that it will kind of change and people will enter in this kind of debate. Yeah.
Fantastic, amazing. Well, that was all of my questions for you. Wow, through that.
Wow.
That was amazing.
And I kind of missed you. So tell me about your amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. I've been following along, and I've just been you and the other tab girls have just been like following along, being like, yes, go girl, go girl. So yeah, that's amazing. Awesome. So I know this is your live, but where can people find you? So like mostly online. So like Instagram, Twitter, your website, or
Much. I use it more to follow the news and everything. So it's really time consuming to post on social media. If you want to post like posts and everything, you need to put a minimum effort in it. And so for now, I'm having all the projects and everything. I'm not a full on. I'm gonna become a social media person and then figure and then work on that full time. And because it's something that I do on the side, I prefer to have quality over quantity and not be on too many things at the same time and like master one. And then from this, an opportunity or more time, or if I see the need, then I will expand. I think that the next step might be to build a Facebook page for my art, my artwork.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Yeah, and a blog maybe to join tech and arts together and like engage the discussion. Maybe not on Instagram, like a proper blog where I can post interviews and everything. This is the next step in terms of online and like video as well and all those things. But, I think I like Instagram. I really like the community. I think it's a really open-minded community, and
it's fantastic. Yeah,
people from all over the world who are in tech and not in tech. I think it's an amazing community. Yeah, really.
Definitely, I agree. Well, thank you so much for being on Inspiring Figures this morning. I think it's been amazing because it's really like ended with on a good note, because this whole year, this whole project has been like something close to my heart. So thank you so much for getting involved. I'm going to do like a little write-up on my blog about everything we discussed today, and I'll also post this on like YouTube if that's okay, and also post it on my Instagram, of course. So since you're in control of this live, when you close it, can you make sure that you make sure that it like clicks continue to share for 24 hours, because then I have to download it. Yeah, is that okay? Awesome. Sure. Well, thank you so much. Love you. Thank you, sir. Bye.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you. You too. Bye.